out of anyone that I've played footy with ever, like, he's the best trainer I've ever seen. And the reason was that his legs were absolutely stuffed, like his shins. He always had like shin splints, stress fractures in his shin, so he barely ran during the pre-season, but he would just absolutely flog himself before Christmas on the bike, on a grinder, in the pool.
Bill Chambers loads up. In from the side, well, trying to go there was Carlisle, misstepped as it turned out. Winderlich deep in the pocket, goes for goal! And I tell you what, that is a fantastic effort with intent.
Well, 13 seasons, 129 games, a great story to tell. Jason Winderlich, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me. Interesting
career. Let's start right at the start. Number 11 pick in the 2002 draft, Essendon's second pick. What are your memories about being drafted and sort of having that experience of living out a childhood dream?
Yeah, like feels like a bloody long time ago now, but it is, yeah, when I really think about it, nearly half my life ago. But I just remember being, obviously playing under 18s at Gippsland Power for the last half of the year. Just, there's speculation then about getting drafted and then what number you're going to go. And I remember before the trade period, there was, I think, like, obviously in the first round there was like 18 or 20 picks, and there was only about 5 picks that were Victorian-based clubs. And at that stage, I was advised you're probably going to go in the first round, anywhere from pick 5 to pick 20. So I was a bit upset at the thought that I might have to move interstate. And then after the trade period, it literally flipped on its head. So then all the picks, there was like 14, 15 picks were then Victorian clubs. And then it got thrown into chaos the night before the draft. At that stage, it looked like I was going to go potentially to Brisbane at pick 5. Then, of course, Carlton lost picks 1 and 2. So I was getting phone calls at 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night before the draft from other clubs who, like Port Adelaide, I was maybe going to go there at pick 6. They'd moved up. And then, I hadn't spoken really to Essendon. I remember Adrian Dodoro rang me maybe about 9, 10 at night before the draft, and I was wrapped. Got barracked for Essendon. I'm like, how good's this? And they just said if you're there, we had picks 10 and 11, and they said if you're there, we're going to take you. And then Richmond rang me about 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning, and they had pick 12, and they said, we don't care who else is there, we're going to take you at pick 12. So I was like, great, as long as I get to picks 10, 11, 12, I'll stay in Melbourne. Barracked for Essendon, obviously wanted to go to Essendon, but otherwise I wanted to go to a big club. Name got read out, pick 11, and I was invited to the draft, so it was exciting with mum and dad. We all barracked for Essendon, and then the day of the draft, you meet people that you've idolised your whole life. Kevin Sheedy, then you had Dean Wallace, Mark Harvey, Robert Shaw. That was the coaching staff when I first started, and Essendon legends, and it's pretty exciting. Then going into the club, then you got Mark McCurry, James Hird, Matthew Lloyd, Scotty Lucas. It felt like a dream.
Watson, we know, is a good user. He's got Winderlich in space. He takes Murphy on the foot race. A good clean track. Can he turn him around? No, he can't. So the left foot rolling to goal. That's a beautiful effort from Winderlich and Watson and the Bombers.
It didn't take you long to make your senior debut, round 7 against Richmond at the MCG. What do you remember about that game?
Oh, what do I remember? It was Lloydie's 150th, so massive occasion against the Tigers. I remember someone was trying to rough me up before the start of the game, one of the Richmond wingers or half-backs, and I remember Paul Barnard just come up to him before the game even started and said, if you touch him again, I'm going to bash you. So then they just left me alone, so it was good. That doesn't mean I got plenty of the ball or anything, but that was the way Essendon played back then. The care amongst the team was unreal, like for young guys, and you had teammates like Dean Solomon, Paul Barnard, Mark Johnson, Jason Johnson. Like
it's a tough side.
It was a tough side, and by no means was I ever a tough player, but you did feel a lot better with those guys in your team, and I was lucky enough to play with them for a few years, and it was amazing. Like, yes, I got there at the tail end of that period where they literally the dominant team for 3 or 4 years, and you can definitely see why.
I wanted to ask you about, the example that the guys in that team set, not so much on game day, but like on the training track. You're talking about a side that had the most successful season league footy's ever seen. There's still core of that side there when you arrived. How high were those training standards? Was it you'd played elite junior footy, but did you come in and sort of go, wow, I've really got to be on my game even at training?
Yeah, 100%, and that's not just driven by the senior players, like the coaches. Then it was a different era. To me, I look at when I first started to when I finished, it was unbelievable the change in welfare, managing of your body and stuff like that. And I needed it at the end, but at the start, you just get out there and go for it. Yeah. The running that you would be asked of, like John Quinn. He was brilliant. He's comfortably the best fitness coach, or even mind coach that I've ever met. Yeah. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And the standards that he would drive with his fitness staff, and essentially us underneath him as well, was unreal. Brilliant. And the senior players, you had. Obviously Hurdy, Lloydie, your typical guys were good trainers. Probably the one who stood out the absolute most to me was Damien Peveril. He was out of anyone that I've played footy with ever, he's the best trainer I've ever seen. And the reason was that his legs were absolutely stuffed. His shins, he always had shin splints, stress fractures in his shins, so he barely ran during the pre-season, but he would just absolutely flog himself before Christmas on the bike, on a grinder, in the pool. So I started trying to tag along with him when I was about 19, 20, because I'd never lifted a bloody weight before I I'd done some house brick in one pre-season. I just was trying to do weights with him, and I reckon I put on 3 or 4 kilos in one pre-season just from trying to copy what he was doing. He probably didn't even know, because he's such a quiet, shy sort of bloke.
Ball tackled by Monfries.
There's a bad knee injury. There's a bad knee injury here, I think, Chris.
Now play goes on.
I think it's early.
No, I think it's Winderlich.
Is it?
Yeah, it looks like he's done his knee.
Left knee.
Unfortunately, injuries were a constant backdrop to your career, so risky doing this, but I was going to ask you to take us through the catalogue of injuries, and I'll just go off and get a cup of coffee and you can just talk to camera, and I'll come back in about half an hour.
I wouldn't be a coffee, mate. It should be a three-course meal.
I had to get that in, but just take us through, just to give people an idea of the sort of toll a league career can take on your body.
Yeah, it's I guess the first one was when I first started getting going, I broke my fibula. I remember against Geelong, first 30 seconds of the game, got kicked on the side of the leg, and I just thought I had a corked calf or something like that. Went down in the rooms at Etihad, tried running. Then sure enough, went to hospital after the game. I think it was a Friday night game. Broken fibula, moon boot straight away, and then. Obviously, the bad one was the back surgeries. They were horrendous. Played against Hawthorn on a Friday night game again. I remember waking up. It was probably about 3:34 in the morning. I couldn't feel my legs, and I'd played out the game, and I couldn't feel my legs that Saturday morning. And I was like, I'll wait a couple of hours before I ring Reedy and see what's going on. And I'd been seeing Reedy since I was 14, 15 years old. He goes, hop out of bed and try and walk. And I tried to walk, and it felt like I had 2 torn hamstrings and torn calf muscles. And he goes, you've done your back. And I said, no, I've done my hamstring. He goes, no, your back. He goes, come in straight away. So then I had a scan on my back. I'd ruptured a disc in my lower back. So I had major surgery. Then 12 weeks later, it was time to start to try and get the body going again. So I started, went to do a jog walk. And when I went to jog, I walked it was just with Quinny and Reedy. And walked out the race at Windy Hill. Got about halfway around through a lap when I started to jog, and I felt like I had a torn calf muscle. So I just walked straight back in, and I said, I feel like I've torn my calf. And they're like, go get a scan on my back again. Went and had a scan, the disc had split open again, so I had to have the surgery again. It was interesting. Like I said to the surgeon, like, mate, and what's the go? And he said, oh, listen, I can like not guarantee that you're going to play sport again at elite level after having a second operation. So he goes, oh, we'll book you in for surgery again. And my birthday's October 10. And so they booked me in for surgery October 8. And I said, let's push that back a few days. I haven't had much of a life for the last 3 months, 4 months. So
it felt like the Last Supper, your birthday.
yeah, I want to have a fair crack for my birthday before I'm tied down at home again. And
you did get a relatively clear run at it in 2009, 2010, third in the best and fairest in 2010. And then, yeah, like you just mentioned it then, I guess you feel like, oh, finally, and then you do a ACL. But yeah, it must have felt great just to have a couple of years at least where it wasn't an issue.
Oh, it was. It was not worrying about whether you're going to get up and get up to play or anything. More like, and that's what I explained to people, like I found a footy career happens in sort of 3 stages. Like when you first get drafted, you want to just, you're happy. Like you get out, you just want to get a senior game. And then it gets to a point when you are getting a senior game and then it becomes a mindset of, oh, I want to be a good AFL player. And then that's the second part of it. And then it gets to the third stage of your career when let's say you're established, you want team success, and we hadn't had any. And so then at that stage when I thought, it'd be coming into potentially a period of success, we had a fantastic list as well, then unfortunately, did my knee and...
and you did it on the same day as Courtney Dempsey, didn't you?
Yeah, so the two, I remember... got carted off on the stretcher and I was down in the rooms at the MCG and I think at that stage my fiance was down there with me and maybe my mum and sister were down there straight away. By the time I'd come off, they were down there. Like even Ian Robson, he was there. He was brilliant. Like with my family, consoling them, and then they're like, you got to get back out on the ground, Reedy. Get back out on the ground. Demps has just done his knee as well, and Reedy was like, come on, don't be serious. And they're like, no, he has. And then literally both of us were sitting down like within 10 minutes. Like that. And I think there's some funny pictures, or like I can say it's funny now, but like the end of watching that game back, there's the two of us with our knee braces and crutches. We're both sitting next to each other on the bench. I had a hamstring graft. That's probably one of the biggest regrets. When it comes to a footy point of view, that's the biggest regret, is that I didn't do a bit more research on what sort of graft I should have done to fix my knee, because I've been a fast runner, long strides. Like obviously I tested my hamstrings out a lot, and I'd never had hamstring troubles ever before. I ended up coming back. I did my hamstring. Oh God, it would have been 10 or 12 times, and then come back and then I was like, oh great, I'm playing good footy again. By that stage, Bomber was coaching, and I absolutely loved playing under Bomber. Absolutely brilliant coach. Loved playing under Bomber, and
you were playing that 2014 season. You were playing
year.
Off half back.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed it. I love because even when I had those couple of good years, then obviously we lost Lloydie and Scotty out of our forward line, and there wasn't many of the other boys who could go and play forward out of our midfield. So I had to leave playing on ball and wing and go play forward, which I was fine with because I really enjoyed the coaching side of footy. And I was probably just an extension of the coach's box for the guys, and we were young. We were young down there in the forward line, so just went and played half forward and sort of forward third of the ground and helped coach the guys, set them up, and then literally did the exact opposite. Once Bomber was coaching, he goes, I want you to go play half back, set the ground up. He had great structures in place, and it was a great back line to play with.
So you're playing great footy, but you retire, and then you almost go to Richmond, and then you stay at Essendon. What was going on?
Oh mate, it was hard. Like I've got as you know, like it was a hard time. Like at that stage, I'd had my first daughter Sierra, and as like with a young family, like some of the stuff that would get said to you, like just in passing, like just doing your grocery shopping and stuff like that, it wasn't didn't really sit comfortable with me.
Really vicious.
Yeah, and it's that's the wear and tear that it had on people, and yeah, I'd had enough. Like I just wanted to finish up, or I wanted to go do something different. Now I'd started the timber business at that stage, and I was working by appointment only, and that was a good distraction, and that's what I wanted to do. Was I either wanted to go just leave sport or leave football at AFL level, and then go just run this business full time, or I'd go play. I'm more interested in going playing footy elsewhere, and as it was, like it, then. Yeah, the boys like catching up with the guys. Oh, we want you to stay. We want you to stay. And I was like, I don't even know if I want to play. Like, I don't know if I want to play. And then I'm like, once you make your mind up, you do want to play. Like there was a few things that happened, obviously, and it was going to be really difficult for me to leave to end up at Richmond. So I just had to make the decision if I was going to be right. Like if I was going to be right mentally to come back to Essendon, and I'll give it everything. And that's the decision I played with. That's obviously I'll come back and play, and that by far was easily the best pre-season I'd ever had by a mile. And that was when we'd moved out to Tullamarine, and I remember running towards the high performance centre, and just went to have a shot at goal across my body. It was only about 40 out or something, and then I just felt this like twinge or pinch in my back, and then sure enough, by the time I just literally training was still going, I just kept walking straight off. I just walked straight into the locker room. And that was just before the Christmas, so I'd done like 2.5 months of unbelievable training with the group. The group had a really, really good pre-season, and by the time then I sat down in the locker, that's when you have a bad back injury, that's when it just starts seizing up straight away, and that's what it did, and that was it. I did get back to play. I got back and played one game. I think it was against Hawthorn, and then I was cooked. Like my back, my body was fried. So for that last half of the year, Matty Egan was absolutely brilliant. So sat down with him, sat down with the fitness staff, and just decided like I'm not even going to bother to try and play again. Jason, he's got not a bad footy brain, so let's get him to. All he's going to do is come in Monday, Wednesday, Fridays for the main sessions. Tuesday, Thursdays, let's get him prepared for life after footy. Like, I want him. He should be going to do coaching, but he doesn't want to. So let's let him go Tuesday, Thursdays, and work on his business and stuff. So it's a smooth transition, and I can't thank Ego enough, because some of the coaches and some of the staff thought that shouldn't be allowed. But if that didn't happen, I would have just walked away. And to do that, but for him to facilitate that for me, because he obviously had a terrible injury that ended his career with his foot. So
as an All-Australian,
exactly, So he didn't get to play in the flag. He was All-Australian that year, but so for him to do, I'll never forget that. And he goes, I want you to enjoy your last 8 or 10 weeks of your career. So just come in, have fun, help the young guys out, but then just switch off. And I think that's what Ego could see, was if someone could, that type, I've always been a bit of a jovial sort of person, so if that could help out the guys, what they're going through, then I'll stay.
Well, it's just as well you are a jovial person, given the injuries, given the saga. But you talked about business. We're sitting here surrounded by the finest timbers. I know nothing about wood, but tell us a bit about the business.
Yeah, it was interesting how it started. There was three brothers that I grew up with next door to each other in Thorpedale, Mick, Dwayne and Dylan. And when I first moved to Melbourne, then I wanted to do my carpentry apprenticeship. So Mick, as the older brother, he's a couple of years older than me, he had a carpentry business. So we used to get a day off a week. So I was going out and doing carpentry work. So I thought I'll do carpentry, then I'll do my joinery so that I could then do, it was just a top-up course of furniture. And yeah, I didn't get to complete that. And then when I renovated my house in Moonee Ponds, the guys, all the boys did the carpentry works on our house. And then when we built the sort of man cave / bar out the backyard, we sourced some absolutely beautiful recycled bridge timbers and stuff like that. Then we machined some of them up, and what was revealed underneath that, loved it. So then, I was like, this is what I want to do. It was great fun.
The name of the business?
Just Eco. Yeah.
Okay. Contact number?
You can actually ring me direct on my mobile if you want, mate. So our landline's 96965802, and
that number again
is 96965802. But if you actually want to ring up and deal with me direct, that's what I find. Yeah, I still love dealing with people. So my mobile's 0488 029 108. So if you want to text anything funny, that'll make me laugh. That's
this is
fine.
being watched by about 50,000 people at the MCG. So if you knew what was ahead of you, injuries and everything, and were given the chance to do it again, would you, or would you think twice about it?
Good question. No, definitely. There was two dreams that I had when I was a kid that I wanted to do. I grew up in Thorpedale, which is renowned for potatoes and spud farming. So we always had large trucks, semi-trucks come into town. So the two things that I wanted to do when I was a kid was either play AFL footy or drive trucks. So I've done one. I've still got the opportunity to do the other. But no, I even the mindset, that's all I want to. I've growing up in a small country town, and you always people would say, "Oh, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. No one's going to notice you down here." So I always had that stuff you attitude. I'll prove you wrong, and that's what I found with that's what I did when I had injuries. Is you're not going to come back. You probably shouldn't try and play again. You're going to risk permanent damage. But it's no, I want to do it. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty stubborn, I'd do it all again in a heartbeat. Obviously, the last few years, maybe not, but the rest of it though, I really miss the locker room camaraderie. You got 40, 42 blokes, you get to hang out with your mates every day. Yeah. So I definitely would do it again.
Well, it's a great attitude given the obstacles you had to face, and you played 129 games, more than most of us who would have loved to have been.
I think I missed about 150 with injuries.
It's been a great chat, and I was going to say I did really enjoy that 15-minute interlude where you talked about the injuries, and I could go off and get a coffee.
I thought you cut that. It was half an hour.
No, all unedited. So, Jason Winderlich, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Brian. Cheers, mate.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our chat with Jason Winderlich. Too much to fit into the video, but if you want to hear the full interview, you can hear an audio podcast on the Essendon Football Club website.